The background of this paper, it is based on how we have a big number of youth and a big number are unemployed and underemployed. And in Rwanda, so far, we are at 30%, whereby we should think about different approaches to engage youth, to help them to work and to find jobs. Uh, because in case when they are not employed, they suffer from different problems like frustration, anxiety, and of course, even they engage themselves in taking alcohol and they become criminals. Of course, it's because they are not able to do different activities that can help them to make the income, and it's because they are poor. Yes. And as of course, there is one approach that has been invented, or not invented, but used in Rwanda, that we call youth village saving and loan sessions. It has been uh, invented by different NGOs, supported by government. Unfortunately, when you look at different literature, we don't have literature talking about the role of partners in terms of village saving, because sometimes they say that village saving are all formed by the members, not for external partners. This is why my paper will be trying to assess and to evaluate the role of partners and also highlight different activities of those village saving of young people especially. Uh, I see the first objective. I don't know the continue. Yeah, yes, continue. The objectives are the following: is to find out activities of youth village saving and demonstrations. I'm adding the why because most of research normally talk about village saving, not only for young people. I also try to identify different partners who work with other groups, and also uh, I'm targeting to document the role played by different partners in those saving groups. The methodology used is, of course, this study has been descriptive study design, whereby quantitative and qualitative design has been used, and what we call triangulation. And all members of seven groups have been uh, asked or contacted using purposive sampling, whereby we say that they have enough information about saving groups. We have used the questionnaire, key informant, interview, group discussion, and also observation checklist. This study has been valid because I did a preliminary study whereby I tested all my tools. In terms of reliability, of course, it is reliable because I used more than two data collection instruments. In terms of ethical consideration, I followed all protocols of ethical consideration, whereby I asked for permission, I quoted for formal consent for a respondent, and also confidentiality and anonymity will be, of course, catered for while analyzing my data. I'm going to tell you some key findings, whereby I will mention the main activities, which include saving mobilization, whereby young people, they do regular meeting and also they contribute either weekly or monthly. They also do financial education, whereby they have among them workshops and training sessions. They most often talk about budgeting, saving, investing, debt management, and basic financial literacy. Those are key concepts, of course, found that they are now they have been trained among themselves. And there is also loan provision whereby the loan management, where there are different criteria and the established procedures of giving or managing loans among themselves. And also there is peer support as activity they do so that they can support each other and others. Of course, they do financial monitoring and evaluation, whereby they have to do records, to keep records of every activity transaction that has been done in terms of finance. At the end, they do community development projects whereby they sometimes save so that they can do an investment for common good of the community. Partners, of course, it's a kind of list. Where partners may be churches or faith-based organizations, financial institutions, government organizations, NGOs, private companies, and community-based organizations. And they normally play different roles, like financial services, where they give finance services, like help them to have loan for the groups. They also can be able to expand their activities and being known by the community in general. Government organization can help to in terms of developing policies, also having regulatory framework for the other groups, and also creating a safe environment for other groups. And NGOs, as expert, they normally help those groups they empower them. They also help them to financially and sometimes give them training and mentor them, and also find of course, advocate for them. Private companies also, they are experts in the domain, whereby they help them how to look for new opportunities. And we also to look for capital and also to invest or to know how to do market the products, or to look for markets for what they have produced or have done. And that targeting the sustainability of those very saving and loan associations. And also community-based organizations are the backbone for saving groups because they help them to know that it's their own groups. They have to have the ownership so that they can think about sustainability and also, of course, based on the trust they have between them. As I told that I wanted to show to assess how it is. That's why I try to look for how they see that partnership. They showed that effectiveness is there. If you consider the other table, whereby 70% of respondents rated the effectiveness of partners at very good and excellent levels, meaning that they confirm that partners are very important in their activities so that they can become successful. I also try to look for some constraints they have between partners and seven groups, whereby they mentioned into the financial support, where, of course, because they normally, as they are rural or young, they need sometimes startup capital, and those partners, some of them don't have enough money to give them. Also, there is a lack of qualified trainers. Sometimes when they are, for example, have to train them about management or financial or risk management, sometimes they don't have a qualified one who can help them to be good or to have a good level. And also their lack of local models showcase in the rural area. It means that normally people like to learn when they see, of course, some examples and seeing what is being done in the field. Therefore, it's a kind of lack of people who can be models for those young people. And also, there is a low level of understanding of the young people and the community and the population in general. To overcome such constraints, there are suggestions that have been highlighted, like increase of finance support for the other partners, enhancing capacity building, of course, programs, and also looking for experts who can help them, and also improve the communication, the coordination, and strengthening monitoring and evaluation mechanism. As of course we have a short of time, I try to only highlight the key information. That's why I want to show that they recommend that partners should enhance the various mechanisms to mobilizing youth to join saving groups so that they can overcome the socio-economic problem they have. And also partners should also help young people when they take loans, because sometimes young people, when they take loan, they mismanage that money and sometimes they fail to reach their target. Thank you very much for attention.
Thank you very much, Alexandra. So, do we have questions for your beautiful presentation? I can see that some of the partners you mentioned community-based organizations, you mentioned churches. So I would like to ask, these community-based organizations, are they supporting youth in their own community? These churches, are they supporting youth in their church, or they provide support to any youth that is in the group? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Churches and community-based organizations are different in my research.
Okay.
Churches, there I want to mention it, we have different churches in Rwanda, whereby you can have celebration or like Miracle Center and the others, ADPR and so on. But concerning the community-based organization, you have other groups created by people in the community that inspire village saving groups so that they can see they are made by people by themselves. Therefore, saving groups are also possible because they are also made by young people, of course, themselves.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Another question. Please, I would like the audience to also get ready with their questions. One of the constraints, you said lack of qualified trainers. Well, what's happening? Obviously, there are people that are doing that business already. And these are young people coming together as a group. And so is it that those that are doing the business already, is it that they don't want to train the young people, or the young people are frustrating them, or what's the challenge here?
Thank you very much. As I mentioned, of course, I presented the summary of the summary, whereby we don't have details. Concerning if you said you mentioned the lack of trainers and
yes.
expertise,
Yeah.
meaning that when the other partners, they normally invite experts to train young people.
Okay.
Sometimes they lack the qualified one who can, for example, train about reproductive health, because in 7 groups they normally share any knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah, therefore, sometimes they can bring someone who is not good at gender-based violence, or who has not learned about the gender equality. Therefore, the young people cannot be satisfied with that knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This it makes me to remember about the project we run in my organization. We call it Olive Household Economic Strengthening, and women are formed into groups just like this, and they contribute money weekly. And during the weekly meeting, different topics, we train them on different topics, sometimes on reproductive health, gender-based violence, like you said, budgeting, financial management. And so, I must commend you. This is a very good opportunity for youth to come together to learn. And this means that they don't even necessarily have to go to the bank, because the bank will ask for collateral. But this initiative is giving opportunity for youth to come together and those that are successful in businesses, they are acting as role models to the ones coming up. Thank you very much. Please, questions, comments, contributions from the participants. I know some of the participants here, you are from Nigeria. What you have said, do you have any example? Maybe where young people are coming together to contribute money, or what do you see about this idea? Do you think it's something that is worth it? Do you think it can work? I need comments. Wow. And there are a lot of young people here, so you need to tell us something. What do you feel about youth village savings and loans? Please. Someone is smiling at me. Okay, stand up and tell us something. What do you feel about youth village savings and loan? Do you feel if young people in your community, are you a student here? Okay, so what if we say students should come together? You know, a lot of students even have their own businesses even while on campus. So if a group of students running businesses come together, do you think if an organization provides loan or support for them, so what do you think is going to happen?
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Oyindamile Swola, a social work student from a 300 level social work student from the University of Lagos. Okay, so my question is okay, okay, I have a question also. So related to what you said now, I would like to ask that in the area of trust, how do you try to create a form of trust and then sustainability for students in that area? Because it is one thing to get loan and maybe it is another thing to actually trust the system. So what is in it for us to really trust the system that it will be effective? Thank you.
Thank you. So he didn't say this loan is for students anyway. Yes.
Thank you very much. My topic is for rural young people, not students, but it go beyond the rural area. Even students in university, they have such groups. For example, the university where I lecture, they have some 7 groups, and it's not they have to be like between 10 to 25. Therefore, you normally make a group basing on that trust. If your colleagues, your friend, you start that saving group. If you receive a scholarship, you contribute. For example, if you want to buy a laptop, for example, you are 10, for example, 5,000 or 10,000, at the end of the year, you can buy 2 laptops for you. In that case, it's a saving group for you to help you as a student. But in rural area especially, they want to look for starting capital, starting business, small one, like farming, like small business in the rural area. Therefore, when they contribute, they can start up. There's a small business. That's how the trust come before because they are together, and also training they are given. Of course, there are different stages used to help them to trust each other and also to have different norms and relation so that they cannot do bad things in the group. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So trust is very important, and from what you said, they must have mutual understanding before they can come together and say they want to form a group. Thank you. Any other questions, comments, contributions? Thank you, ma.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, ma.
I must confess that I didn't really capture the presentation, but I think I started getting a bit of focus when the question and answer aspect came up. Okay, concerning this loan of a thing for rural youth, I hope I got that correct.
Yes, village savings and loans.
Village savings and loans. My concern here is this. In a situation where there's a package to give out loans to youths in a village or in a village setting, now the constraint usually lies with the youth leadership, if I should put it that way, and as well as the community elders or leaders per se. So you find out that they grab this loan of a thing and they segment those who actually benefit from it.
Okay.
So not everybody gets that loan of a thing. I hope I'm not deviating from the focus of the paper.
Not.
Good. So the actual issue now is, how do we ensure that everybody in the community who is labeled a youth actually benefits from this youth package and not just a select few? Because when we look at the village setting, we know that there are the wealthy youths. We know that there are youths from affluent families. We know that there are educated youths. And we know that there are even educated youths from less influential families who can be trampled upon. How do we ensure that the community elders, community leaders, the youth leaders, we should also remember the vigilante groups. How do we ensure that everybody, there's an inclusiveness in this matter? Now, when we consider that, we now consider the lending body. What really is their interest in this particular community? Why are they coming to this community? Are they a part of this community? One. Are their businesses in this community? Two. Is it that an influential person have brought them into this community? Three. We really need to understand their reason for having an interest to give out loan to this community, and also be able to understand the drive for the loan. Is it for everybody, or is it for youths in business, or just to encourage every youth, no matter what you are doing, come and have a business to do. We will sponsor you financially to maybe 50%, 100%, 20%, as the case may be. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I will say one or two things before you respond. You know, you said maybe you didn't get the presentations very well. But I remember you said, I think this started during COVID-19, or as a result of COVID-19, they had to start this. And the lending bodies you're talking about, he talked about churches, he talked about community-based organizations themselves, that they are the ones supporting this group and some development partners. So please, can you continue with them? Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a matter of giving loan to all young people. As I at the beginning I said that it's a of course, formed group by people or themselves. For example, if you are in this room, we find that we need like to buy or to have some money to invest. And we say, I cannot manage to have 5,000. And they say, to find 5,000, let us be together. You contribute one, and after having 5, I invest. Meaning that, of course, every week they meet, you deposit some money as you can. And after deposit that money, after 1 month, you can go and say, now in your you have like 100,000 in cash. And you say, me, I want 20,000 to invest. Of course, you can be given as a member of that group. Meaning that not all people from the community, but the member of the group, you are given that money because you have contributed like a kind of saving. And if you don't come to save weekly, you consume the money. But if you go, you deposit 1, 2, you can, for example, if you give 1,000 per week, at the end of the month, you have 4,000. And after 10 months, you have 40,000. Therefore, you can have that's 40,000 and you start a simple project. Therefore, you are given a loan because you are a member of the group, not everyone from the community.
Thank you very much. So from what he said now, he said young people came together and they started contributing money. So it's not necessary that they have to get money from outside. They contribute money weekly from themselves, and if one of them needs the money, they can have access to the money. Are you okay, ma? Thank you. Someone? Yes, please.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma.
I'm not asking question as such.
Okay.
But I just want to add a little on what the presenter has just said.
Okay.
Concerning this village saving. I'm a member of one of the village saving in my locality.
Okay.
And it's a group that is being formed by the church to encourage members to save. And we do come, as he earlier said, we do come every week on Sunday to save. And we make it in a form of shares. I'm saying this to encourage the youth amongst us. No matter how little, it's not small for you to save. Rome is not built in a day. You must start somewhere. You don't wait for any organization. The government is saying that think of what you can do for yourself, not what the government can do for you. You start saving by yourself. And through this saving, there are a lot of people that have testified about what they have done with this saving. We have 5 shares to buy every week, and each shares is 500 naira. So 500 naira would do save for 1 year. When you are able to buy 5 shares every week, is 2,500 naira. If you cannot afford 2.5 in a week, 1 share is 500. You can save your 500. You can save 1,000. You can save 2,000. And when they come and calculated this in a year, it's something reasonable. And I look at it as it's a program that should be encouraged among the youths. In fact, if we encourage that among the youth, we will liberate the youths from a lot of social vices in the society. Because we discovered most of the youths, their major complaint is that we are unemployed. We don't have what to do. You don't have anything. But the little recharge card that you buy, the little data that you wasted sometimes, the little trading that you do even in the hostel, you can form yourself in a group and be saving something. At the end of the year, or maybe you save it half of the year, you will realize that you have saved something reasonable, that you can start your life with it. And with that, you can become something else tomorrow. So I'm so happy when he presented this program. And may God bless the presenter.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, madam. Yes, another comment. The people on this side, I'm coming over to you. So get ready. None of you is talking yet.
Okay, now I'm getting the picture. And I now understand when the issue of trust came up. Yes. And I don't know how you're going to convince me, not others, only me, that trust is going to be handled adequately. Because one challenge we have in Nigeria is a lot of mistrust in this money aspect. They say, come, no matter how little it is. Now imagine everybody seated here is contributing only 100 naira to you. How much have you made? Then you are promising us something. At the end of the day, we don't see you, we don't find you. The office is cleared, it's a clean building, and we are wondering, hello, who is at home? Nobody. Okay, now we are even the sorry, please, I'm having a big cough. Even when we talk about the church, not your church, man, but we're also aware of churches who have skirted away with people's monies, all in the name of we are using the Bible to steal from people. You get it? So this aspect of trust, now I get it now. Why that trust issue came up. You need to convince the youth why they should enter into a thrift with someone. I mean, hello, I can save my money myself. It's my money, not so. And I'm a student. I have to run a business and I need capital to do it. And you're telling me, come, save this, your 500, your 100 naira with me. At the end of so, you can have this, you can make that and all that. I can as well be saving that money with me. If I eat it at the end of the day, she is still my money. I won't cry wolf. You get it? So I really need that aspect of trust to be stressed so that the youth will really understand when we are talking about this thrift of a thing. And when they go home, they can also share the gospel that, look, we can do this. And of course, your money is safe. Whatever we have promised at the end of the day, you get it and it goes on. Thank you.
Alexandra. Can you respond to that? Or is there any other person that can respond after him? Okay, thank you, ma.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, ma.
As an entrepreneurship educator in social work, there is no how this type of thrift can be perfected without applying spirituality. And the spiritual aspect of it might take an informal dimension through deities. There are some localities or communities that if you eat up their money, it's as good as committing suicide. Because they are going to come to your house with an empty basket to curse the person. So nobody will dare to even eat 1 naira from their money. I think the author should try to explore it to that area. Informal sources of preserving the rotational contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment. As you said, trust is normally it's humanity. It has to come inside people. And also, as the other young people that are living in the same neighborhood, they know each other since childhood. Because this groups is for the people who live in the same village, who want to overcome a certain challenge. They know each other, meaning that they know their mother, their father, even relatives, of course. And also they have some times where people they say, I will, if he do this, I will, of course, ask me. That's why they have different ways to build trust among them, even if sometimes it can happen but not planned. Thank you very much.
Spiritual, do they use spiritual powers in solving some of these issues in Rwanda also? They don't.
How the norms are, of course, formed and how they are respected. That's what normally bring trust, and also whereby they take money and bring back, pay back.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
So the audience on this side, we need one or two people to say something. Yeah. Please give it to my brother. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Yeah, I'm Abua Clement from student of social work from Unicam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just want to throw more light
Yeah.
on what my lecturer just said concerning trust. I remember when I was growing up, we had a group, just like he says, we grew up together. We now decide that since we are doing this Okada work, we should come together and say we'll be saving every week. So every Sunday we'll come together. And at the end of the month, when we realize a particular amount, we use that and buy one bike and give to another someone. We'll keep doing like that. Now we now discover that some person, when you get to that week that you're supposed to contribute, they don't come up to contribute. So that is where we are coming from, that trust. You might do it from the beginning, everybody will be okay. But when they settle 1, 2, 3, before you know, story will start going. But you know, that group will scatter. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my brother from Uniben. Unical. Oh, sorry. So what he's saying is, after when they contribute and maybe they use the money in buying a motorcycle, somebody takes the motorcycle, the next time another person takes it. So it means those that have taken the motorcycle, because they need to continue contributing. So when they need to contribute, they might not show up in the.
Thank you very much. Basing on the example he gave, of course, before you give the money, you should think about how you will cater for that person. You can say, of course, if we don't see you, you don't contribute next round, we come and take the bike and sell it. When it is right and the rules and regulations, in that case, they may come as the other one said and say, okay, bring the motorcycle. They said the money is back. Or there is someone who said, I will find him, because he cannot, even if he moved from the place to another place, he may be found. In case they have thought that someone will help us to find him, even if he disappear. That's, of course, trust is sometimes, on all of us, sometimes trust can be built by rules, regulation, and so on. And also, you add on the willingness to cooperate with others and the way you want to, of course, satisfy your needs. And as I told you, as long as they are in the same community, they have the same need, they want to achieve something, they are, of course, sometimes the parents are involved, saying that my brother, and sometimes they contribute with money from the parents in case they missed something to contribute. In that case, there is some kind of cooperation, but as you mentioned, they can fail, but not at high level. Thank you very much.
These are some misplaced items. This is drugs. I think high drop in here. This is for you, or you know the owner. Someone is here with it, and this is someone's scarf. If you are the owner, please move to the back and see. There's a lady standing at the back, or you know someone who misplaced this. Thank you. Then I think.
For what I just said, I just want to still ask the question that can we bring law into it? law. Yes. Like we are contributing now.
Yes.
You now say, okay, you have a barrister that is aware that you guys are doing this thing. In case this person is no longer cooperating.
Yes,
Now another thing, because when you enter the agreement with the barrister now, then that contribution you need to be, you need some stipends again, because you must settle the lawyer. You don't need to settle, you must settle, because the lawyer cannot be working for you free. So my question now is that, can you involve the law in this kind of contribution, like mine's contribution?
First of all, the groups are voluntary. You join it knowing the reason, and the law normally don't come inside, because if you bring law, as you said, it apply, it asks money and everything. But in case it's about norms, of course, internal norms, internal regulations, that to, of course, to emphasize the trust you have between of course inside the group. Yeah.
To round up, okay, but someone is at the back. He has answered your question. Okay, but there's still someone. Finally.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Victor Ded from University of Calabar. Please, sir, you said something concerning knowing each other right from childhood in course of this contribution of a thing. I want to cite an instance, like there are some set of persons I grew up with, and along the line I wanted to rent an apartment. So we decided to go into contribution. So we are 5 in number, going for the sum of 25,000. So the first person we gave to him, the second, the third was actually the last. So when my turn emerged, familiarity breaking. So my friends was telling me, oh, my mom has a challenge, my dad has a challenge. So at that particular point, yeah, I'm very close to them. I can't do anything, or I can't put in first to get that money. How can we do with this particular concept, familiarity in course of contribution?
Thank you very much. Of course, someone, if you want to, of course, integrity depends on someone, not necessary, of course, to say that you have to bring to someone integrity. If you go back to the other young group, youth, the other stages whereby you have initiation stage of teaching and telling them the reason of being together, and also knowing consequences in case they don't give back to what they took. And of course, that's a kind of mindset changing. In after they decide to, you are given a loan, of course, because they see you are somehow at a level whereby you want to develop yourself. And also there is a cultural and background of people. In Rwanda, I can tell you that, of course, we have such groups who that are, of course, which are successful, whereby young people, they try to progress, they achieve more. And those particular cases may happen if you, for example, it's like to pay an apartment together. That's like, I can meet you and say, okay, let us pay. But the other 7 groups, it's different, because there is kind of mobilization, mindset, behavior change, and so on. That's why I can tell you they are different somehow. And in case you want to have such 7 group, you have also to think about such consequences, and also look for possible solutions in case it happens. Thank you.
Oh my God. We have 2 more papers. Please, quickly. Yes. Yes.
Thank you very much. Social workers normally deal with social problems and also work for the welfare of people. And as long as the young people are not employed, having problem, they become automatically vulnerable people. In that case, if the serving groups are there to help them to have something to invest, and also to have welfare. That's where social work comes across. And of course, and those, for example, when you see in the saving groups and whatever, there is the other different courses of social work, like group theories and so on, they are applied there, whereby they try to use different sort of social work groups and also social work practice at meso level.
Thank you. If you remember, he also said something that maybe weekly when they come together, they discuss a lot of other issues. They have trainings, they share amongst themselves topics about reproductive health, gender-based violence, and other things. So they discuss their the social problems and provide solution as well. Thank you very much. Please, let's give Alexandra a round of applause. Thank you. We'll now go to the second presentation. Please, can you project it? And that's by my sister from Rwanda, Generous. Okay, and the title is Informal and Formal Social Support Systems to Single-Teen Mothers in Gikumbi, Rwanda. Thank you. Please, let's give another round of applause.
Good afternoon. I am Generous from Rwanda, PhD candidate in social work. My paper is about social support systems, including both formal and informal for teen mothers. I tried to summarize this the presentation, including key elements. Gicumbi district is one district of northern province of Rwanda, neighboring Uganda. In that district, the number of teen mothers is increasing every year. For instance, from January to June, we counted 500 teen mothers under 18. There are those who gave birth at 15, 14, 13. You see that the situation is really alarming. This is the reason why I choose to go on field to find out factors behind such teen pregnancies, in order to see what are factors behind and what are effect of teen motherhood, and what do social, how do formal and informal systems do to support those teen mothers. Because you see those teen mothers navigating at the same time adolescence and motherhood is a very hard situation. This is the reason why, because we are funded by Norhead Project, is working there in the district, and other researchers conducted their researches in other districts, and Gicumbi has been left behind on the matter of teen motherhood. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, these are some definitions. You can continue. Go to the next slide. Yeah, I have seen that they are informal social support systems that are rooted in our culture, traditions of supporting each other. And when I was administrating data collection tools, I find out that in informal support systems, they are only families. Families naturally, legally, and socially, they have the responsibility of supporting their children. But we are going to see that sometimes they have problems when their girl becomes pregnant. This is one findings. And apart from the family, their neighbors, friends, are those who are in their social networks. But also there are formal support systems, which include governmental and non-governmental organizations within which social work is practiced. Surprisingly, when collecting data, I found that many professionals there are social workers, sociologists, and psychologists. Apart, two professionals, one was historian, and is the one who was coordinating the project of kugarire turugarijwe is a Kinyarwanda concept, but if I try to translate, it is a normally organization fighting against domestic gender-based violence. But others, and one did education, but others are social workers, sociologists, and psychologists. Now, you can go to two types of support systems have strengths and weaknesses. The limitations, for instance, for informal support systems include the risk there. Of course, they are available to teen mothers because they live with, they are in connection, but their support is related to their availability or the type, the quality of relationships they have with those teen mothers. That's why their support is inconsistent. It can change anytime. The teen mother can be refused of some services anytime. It is not long lasting. But also, they can they are not expert. That's why when the teen mother is in trouble, they can advise her as they want, they wish, because they are not, don't go into deep to tackle the main causes of that teen pregnancy. That's why some get pregnant and in the second year or the third year, they have the newborn. Because I found teen mothers under 18 who have 2 or 3 children. This is a very serious situation. You cannot understand this. And you can ask yourself, why does the family is not helping their daughter to change their behavior? Of course, we are going to the next slide where we after the limitations. Next slide, please. Before go back to formal social support systems. I was telling you that they are non-governmental, faith-based organizations, and governmental organizations. They have such willingness of supporting vulnerable groups, including teen mothers, but also they have limitations. For instance, one respondent told me that they have identified 600 teen mothers in poor conditions who were supposed to be supported, but among 600, they took only 150 teen mothers, meaning that their funds are not enough to support all teen mothers who need support. Also, when we look at accessibility of the service, they delays, they requires time. When we look at professionals who are providing services, of course, those organizations are not there only for teen mothers. They receive different categories of vulnerable groups, and they have few professionals who serve all those groups. That's why there is another problem of shortages of service providers, and this can delay services, or this can also make poor some service delivery process. Again, there are some organizations who employ foreign professionals who don't master well the language of beneficiaries, or they don't at all understand the cultural beliefs of those teen mothers and so on. But also, because of heavy road work, they are not able to make follow-up to every case. Go to the next slide. To produce this paper, of course, I collected data to data on for the whole PhD, all PhD papers, but this is the first one. That's why I have put in this paper only result from 15 interviewees who are service providers from formal support systems. Now, but as I am doing a qualitative study, other teen mothers and their mothers will be considered later. Findings, I want you to go to the page of, to the slide of findings, where I wanted to tell you these are perspectives of service providers. Now, different factors of teen motherhood has been summarized into 3 categories. The first one is poor information about reproductive health. In Rwanda, you see that those teen mothers are still in school year. Some are in secondary schools. All of them, even they are at the school. And some parents think that they learn everything at school, and they don't want to share anything about reproductive health. This is related also to our culture, where talking about sex is somehow taboo. I don't know if we share such beliefs in all African countries. So when, for instance, when a participant was reporting, he told me that a teen mother told him that a teacher who impregnated her, her teacher, told her that you cannot get pregnant the first time you do it. Can you imagine? And he knows already that any time, the first time and any other time, she could be pregnant. And there are also family issues. Family issues are so many. They include irresponsibilities of parents. They include drunkenness of one or both parents. It includes violence, family conflict, poverty, and so on. There are a number of factors they reported being behind the teen motherhood. Fear to disclose sexual violence. These depend on the quality of family relationships. Because if the mother, this is what they told me, that as the mother doesn't talk about sexual issues, also when the girl is violated, she fears to report the case, avoiding being judged as prostitutes, avoiding wanting to keep this secret, or he may be intimidated by the perpetrators, or he can also avoid talking about the case, especially because she doesn't know if he can get pregnant, and he is not aware of medical interventions she can benefit to avoid pregnancy or other diseases who can be sexually affecting. The next slide. If these factors lead to teen motherhood, and the teen motherhood is full of different challenges, and the challenges are of 4 categories, including physical challenges. Some can have fistula, malnutrition if they come from poor families. They can also have anemia, and so on. There are a lot of problems, physical challenges they face. Psychologically, they feel as they lost of course, their self-confidence is affected, but also they have suicidal ideas. Some have attempted to abort, but in Rwanda, abortion is prohibited. And when you do it without legal interventions, you can be put in prison. There are a lot of anxiety. The self-image changes, is sometimes judged by even parents, friends, and so on. Those who can be the first respondent to his problems sometimes stigmatize her, and other related psychological problems can come in. Social challenges is related to psychological challenges, and economic challenges, of course, it is clear that is missing. He cannot cope with different problems or satisfy all the needs of herself and those of her child. And remember that many of teen mothers tend to come from vulnerable segment of citizens, and the others are orphans, others are come from poor families, others come from conflicting families. So there are some who cannot even find clothes, food for their children, or medical insurance. And the many I have seen that some fathers of those children, they don't help, and the parent of the girl feel overwhelmed by they consider the grandchild as a burden. Because, for instance, one mother told me, it's very difficult even to find the porridge, and look at how my girl also is increasing the amount to feed. You see, because they are so poor. Now, I found that social support systems are very important to build the resilience of those teen mothers, but still, even if they are there and they are really very important to help to help the young mother to overcome different problems. They have limitations, as I said. And these are the categories of, for instance, in formal social support, you see local government start by the district and then in sectors, and in the sector, those social affairs officers are in charge, and they work collaboratively with other organizations. RIB is Rwanda Investigation Bureau. These intervene to find the one who impregnated the girl, and to register, in order to register the child. And sometimes those men escape. That's why in the causes, family issues, and we have found that the community also is no longer responsible, because many teen mothers have been impregnated by adult men who have families. And when I asked some young girls, they told me, of course, they have money to give us. This is why also they are mature enough and they can manipulate them as they want. Isange One Stop Center is the center who receive those violated girls for treatment and especially counseling, and they play the role of referring the young girl to health facilities, Compassion, Save the Children, SOS. These are international organizations already known by everyone. Maybe I forget to include ARCTRHUC is a local organization of counselors whose the main role is to provide counseling to all those young mothers. So the next slide. Time is over. But yeah, the question is why symbiotic work between informal and formal support systems. Of course, they have to work hand in hand to overcome the limitations we were talking about. For instance, formal support systems are available, they are direct, they are in contact with beneficiaries. So if working with formal support, they will easily be supported, but the support will be efficient if the formal support is provided and availed to teen mothers and their mothers who can support in management of services benefited. The next. I have anticipated the question of audience, referring to implication for social work practice. Go to the next slide. Implication for social work practice. I am engaged in this research as a social worker, but also I was happy to see that many professionals are social workers who can organize educative talks, but the level at which this is done is still low because of many duties, many clients, and short time and shortage of funds. That's why these are somehow suggestions where I came up with a model which can help those organizations, both informal and formal, to collaborate in order to provide comprehensive interventions which focus mainly on prevention rather than on curative interventions. So that I think when presenting this to leaders, to different partners, maybe when implemented it will be very relevant. I think this is the end of my presentation. Your comments are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Generous, for this wonderful presentation. Yes, let's have your comments. Let's have your comments. It's a big problem what she has talked about, and you can see the way she's making her presentation that she's so passionate about it. Please, let's hear from the audience. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Adeleke Moses. I'm a student of University of Lagos, 300 level, social work. When you started your presentation, you said there was increase on teenage single mothers, teenage pregnancy. So, and there are social workers there around. There are social workers in Rwanda. So my question is, when this became a problem and it was increasing, what were your preventive measures? Like, what did you do to try to curb it, or if maybe reduce? Or was there public sensitizations in the schools, at home, and the family?
So please, let's have all the questions. After this, we'll have all the questions so that you can respond. No, you can respond to this one first.
Thank you, Derek. I am a social worker, and I have been involved as a researcher. And this moment, I consider my research as a baseline for further interventions. I cannot lie telling you that I did something, but I plan to provide evidence-based interventions where I will call all stakeholders to see what we can do. Of course, I plan to work mainly not only with youth, but with families, because problems are mainly rooted in the families who are dysfunctioning this time. And you see, if I am here, I have 3 children, they are left at home, I don't know what is happening to them while here. This is one factor of sexual abuse for children, because many families are working, they are looking for survival means, and sometimes they lose the value of taking care of children. So I plan to work with families, and if many social workers are being graduated, but no one, few are hired by different organizations, others are unemployed. These also result from the poverty of our countries. I don't think so if you are all attending studies. I don't think so if you are be fully employed by some government and non-governmental organizations. So this is a wrong process which call upon the participation, involvement of different stakeholders. Mine will not miss.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Generous. Do we have any question? Any more question, comments? Thank you. Please, if you want to ask a question, can you come forward? Because the other camera is no longer here, so we need to quickly step forward. Yeah,
Thank you very much. Still remain Victor Dade from Unico. Mrs. Presenter, you said something concerning the invent of the elderly ones with the younger person that's trying to go into relationship with them, and as such, bringing teenagers into the state of pregnancy. And we have such experiences in Nigeria, and we do take it as a sugar daddy. So now my question is, how can a professional social worker try to bring this particular aspect of the elderly ones trying to go into a relationship with the younger ones to an end? Like, having discovered that it has a disadvantage in societal growth and enhancement, how can a professional social worker break in with an intervention approaches? Thank you.
Any other question, comments, contributions? Okay, then you can respond to this.
I would like to say that this is a sensitive topic, but also which reflect morals of, and I would like to say that if young girls are empowered from childhood, they will not accept temptations of those men. And if it happens that they are violated, they will be able to report immediately the case. But the community, the whole community, must feel that responsibility of protecting young girls. That's why interventions is not limited only to the target category, but also to whole community, where parents must feel responsible. We used to say, consider every child as yours. Fata umwana nk'uwawe. Donc, tu dois considérer chaque enfant comme le vôtre. Okay, je m'excuse. I am very sorry. I speak normally French. That's why sometimes I mixed. Yeah. Those men, the sugar daddy syndrome is a problem not only in Rwanda, but I think in our countries also the problem is there. If you are a man, normally there is you know that those men have also problems. They may be mentally ill because it is not normal to date a young girl who is still too young than you. Huh? Is it a normal situation, a normal behavior? No. Behavior change is a process. But if everyone feels responsible of protecting young children, young people, he will be saving the nation, the whole country. That's why interventions I am planning will be concern the community as a whole regarding. Let's you tell me. One day I was giving a talk to couples and they asked the men if it is possible to become a young man Would you choose your wife again? They refused. All of them said no. Women did the same, or but specifying some conditions. If my husband left behind this behavior, this habit, this right, I would accept. Meaning that sometimes problems come in because we are not able to build long-lasting relationship, positive relationships with our partners. That's why those men became deviant and do what they do as sugar daddies. So this is the responsibility of everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Generous. And she talked about if we empower these girls, and what kind of empowerment is she talking about? Is not empower. When we're talking about empowerment, it's not necessary that we give them money or something to generate income. But we are talking about other forms of empowerment, like life building skills. If they have the skills, they know how to resist sexual pressure. If a man comes or a boy comes to them, if they are empowered, if they are taught by their mothers or no, they should mean no. It's not saying no with their mouth, but their body is saying yes. And when they know, when as a child you are relating with your children, you are teaching them about sex education. You are teaching them this is the right thing. You are teaching them don't let anybody touch you. Don't let anybody touch your body. If anybody touches you, come and report. If they have this kind of empowerment, and if anything happens to them, they will have someone they trust. Sometimes even in the family, we don't even create that relationship to be that cordial relationship with our children. Some of them fear us a lot. They cannot talk to, if I tell mommy I'm in soup. Instead of telling mommy, they will tell one uncle or one auntie outside. And that one might even compound the problem. So what she's saying is, if our teenagers are empowered, and this should start from the home, from the family, if the father and mother are collectively working together to train the children, this kind of menace will be reduced. She also said, if there is no problem with the relationship between a father and the mother, have you heard cases where fathers are raping their daughters? There was a case of a man who raped his 3 daughters. 3. And when it was reported and they wanted to lock the man up, the woman was even the one pleading. This will tarnish the image of my family, this and this and that. So all this begins from the family, the religious association, the community-based association, different groups. This is not the responsibility of social workers alone. And we social workers, we have a lot to do in terms of sensitization, outreaches, we can also produce flyers. We have a lot of, you can do a TikTok video to sensitize the young ones and let them know what to do. So we have a long way to go. And a lot of organizations have been doing things about this that we can also read online. As social workers, we can also volunteer with other organizations. Whether in your church or in your religion, in the mosque, you can ask for permission to give this sensitization. It doesn't have to be somewhere outside. Any group you find yourself. Now we are going for December holidays. Christmas, a lot of uncles and aunties are traveling down. This is an opportunity that we can use to sensitize people in our community. There are a lot of festivals. There are a lot of, what do they call this thing now? The carnivals. A lot of carnivals are coming up by December. As a social worker, what is your plan? So these are opportunities where we can, we can sensitize the family, the parents, and even the young ones. And even wherever you find yourself, there are some organizations that that have been trained that are supporting people going through violence. Some of these girls we are talking about, how many of them can come out to say, this is what happened to me? As a social worker, we have a long way to go. If you identify organizations that are supporting women and girls going through violence, it is your responsibility to enlighten the public, to let people know, oh, this hotline for this organization, if you call them, they will do what? They will respond. You can go to this place. And it is our responsibility to let them, everyone know that you should not keep quiet. You should not keep quiet. Maybe one of the challenges is the justice system. People, perpetrators that have been reported, what has been done to them so far? If the justice system is not, how will I say, if it's not favoring the survivors, they will not report again. I also did a research with women going through violence. One of the things they said is, oh, when they even report, they do not take action. Or it takes a long time. The justice system, they will go to court, they will tell them to come back to court again, and this, and in that process, you know, they are tired. Some of them do not even have enough resources to follow through these cases. So we as social workers, don't say you are still a student. As a student, you have a long way to go. You have a lot to do to educate your peers and to educate the younger ones. Thank you very much. Thank you. We have one more presentation, the last one. Yes, please let them put it up. And yeah, the high tea guys. Introduce it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is our last presentation in this room, and we are having Dr. Edward Dauda Ibrahim. Oh, Edward Dauda Ibrahim, that's Anzaku, okay? And he's talking about the public perception on reproduction as a universal function in the global context of the family. Oh, this is another one for the family. A case of selected states in North Central Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Dr. Edward Dauda. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. When I came to this group, I saw the theme, building future generation. And of course, I looked at it as perfect for my presentation. I was to go elsewhere, but when I looked at this group, I think it fits here better than... Well, I am... Please, how many minutes? I beg, so that I will not... Good. Next slide. Well, so many issues happen, and most of them, we know that the society is actually a function of the family. Why is it a function of the family? Because family is saddled with the responsibility for bringing up the young ones in terms of birth and socialization. I think one of the issues that we'll just discuss here is what? Problem we have today, the scientific and then the mode of introduction or production today has actually made us not to be able to relate with our children as expected, because we are chasing after money, and therefore they are left at the cost of what? At the cost of house help, which you don't even know what happened at your back. The family institution actually is one of the several institutions of the society, and it is core. Why is it core? The functionalist definition of the family, which is heavily criticized today, we will discuss that, see the family as solely responsible to reproduce its kind through birth and not through IVF or ART. Next. The global change. Now, we are all witnesses of what? What is happening in the world today. Very funny enough, same-sex. So the issue we are actually looking at is, the paramount issue we're looking at, if with what is happening, one, very many people are today legalizing same-sex marriage, and therefore they want to commercialize birth. That is one. Number two, even the family that are married today, there is serious decline in the need for children. A lot of people are no longer interested in big family. Now, with that kind of thing, what do you think will happen to our future? Nobody is concerned about what is going to happen with the future of the society, with what is happening. Upon all these things that are happening, people may not even they may not even bother. Why? We will know the reason. Next slide. Those ones are actually the references. Next slide. Yeah, why have we decided to go into this? Because of this problem. Until recently, reproduction has been one of the universal functions. Here we are talking about the universal. Universal means every family around the world, it is an institution that they produce. So reproduction is not an option. It is a function, a universal function. Out of how many functions? If you look at the universality of the family talks in terms of the function of the family. And one of it is what? Reproduction. Very important. Today, reproduction is challenged by modern technologies. A lot of people are talking that, look, it is not necessary for us to even give birth to children. If we want, we can commercialize, because there is a lot of commercialization of what? Of children today. People will go out like surrogate or like IVF or ART. Surrogate mothers. Because of that, you see somebody will just, okay, even if that happens, what of man and man getting married? What happens to that function? And today, the functional definition of reproduction, as I said, by functionalists, is actually being challenged by what? By gender scholars. It's being challenged by scientific technology. And what do they say? Reproduction must not be through birth. Might be mother and father. That is, they are challenging reproduction by the family institution. And it is working. And that is why if you go out of this country today, it has even located us here. If you go outside, you see a lot of people okay, the whole US president, Bill Clinton, he has only a daughter. Are we aware of that? Why? And many like that. And unfortunately for them, let me tell us, in Germany today, people have restricted getting children to the extent that the society is getting lean. And so government today, if you are able to give birth more than 2 children, if you have the third, the fourth, government rewards you. Why? Because the society is dying. You go there and see a lot of old men with very little children. That means what happens to the future of that society? And so because of that, look at, it is noted with concern, cases of same-sex marriage decline in birth and family with less interest in having children and the future of human society. Yet, there seems to have been of no consequences to the public on the future of the society. Next slide. Families seem to be more interested. They seem to be more interested in what? The here and now benefit due to failures in public policies to remove the obstacle to realization of what? Of the fertility desires. Now, I told you about the mode of production. The mode of production today has actually, and what is the mode of production? It have challenged family to the extent that you can give birth to only the number you think you can actually manage. And that is why a lot of people, maybe some of them through barrenness, otherwise even fruitful ones, they may now say, look, we need only 2. And you discover that if they have the 2, the quest for the third one will come if they are only boys or girls. Otherwise, it's enough for them. Study emphasize massive family planning, and it is true. Program as a turning point in respect of fertility decline, thereby spurring estimated fertility decline in developing countries. That we have seen elsewhere has now come to us. A lot of us are no longer interested in large family. Why? Because of the situation we find ourselves. Can I actually maintain these people without thinking about what? The future society. The above concern arose the need to seek public perception. Now, we want to look at the public perception in respect to reproduction function as a universal function. Do society still see reproduction as universal? That is what we want to find from people. And why? Because there are so many things today happening without anybody being concerned. So this reproduction function that's supposed to be universal, does it still hold? Next. The researchers reviewed several literature in respect to family, as well as conceptual definition, which of course is not for me to explain at this, but it is in the full paper. Next. Methodology. I took time to actually explain deeply here because this is the crux of the matter. The paper adopts sectional survey design. These designs enable the researcher to collect data from a large pool of subjects and compare differences between groups. A multi-stage sampling technique was used to select the clusters for the study. The first stage was the selection of 3 states out of the 6 states that form North Central. The second stage, or the selection, 3 states selected were Nasarawa, Plateau, Benue, and we used fishbowl techniques. Next. The second stage was the selection of 3 local governments, from each of the 3 states, using fishbowl techniques. Local government selection. Of course, here we have Lafia, Akwanga, Kefi. This is from North Central. And then you have Jos North, Jos South, and Bokos in Plateau. And then you have Buruku, Makurdi, and Otuko from Benue State. The third stage was the selection of 3 wards, electoral wards each. Please, let's go on. They say I should summarize. Next slide. The fourth is, let's go. A sample of 1,200 was actually selected. Out of this, questionnaire was administered to 1,200. Only 1,159 were duly signed, filled, and returned. Let's move. Yes, these are the analysis. Move. Yes, from the analysis, you can see that's what we have discovered. The age bracket in terms of biological data, the age bracket from 28 to 38 years was the highest. This is actually the productive age, and we concentrated more on them. Most of the respondents, 451, representing 38%, were of secondary school level. Please, let's go. These ones are... Yes, field work, yes. This one is actually respondent. Here we want to ask respondent whether they know what universal reproduction is all about. Next. Table 2 was actually expression of respondent regards their knowledge. We have said that. A good percentage of the respondent acknowledge that reproduction is one of main functions of what? Of family globally. That means in this part of the world, we are still believing that, look, reproduction still remains important. This is confirmed by point 1, 2, and 4 from that table. The other view on point 3, 304 respondents out of 1,159, that's 29%, however, understood that reproduction is not limited to normal process alone. This view saw possibility in other means of reproduction, just as we talk. So when you get children from IVF, for them, it's still production. Next. Let's go. This one is actually respondents' view on what? No, go. Let's look at it. Move. Table 3 is actually a perception of respondent. We have one to this. The perception of respondent as universal function in contemporary society. Yes, overwhelming respondents from 1,159 still believe that functional reproduction is functional in terms of functionalist definition of reproduction. But very few of them, and few of these people that said in terms of what? In terms of qualitative methodology, believe that, look, reproduction remains a matter of choice. If you want, you reproduce. If you don't. So it is no longer what? Compulsory. It is a matter of choice. And most of those that say this are what? These are people that are actually having high level of education. Like doctors, like academicians. These are people that look, why do we need big family? And you can actually see the level of education. By the time we end, you will discover, when you compare this with the level of education, you will discover that those that are actually saying we don't need children, or it is not compulsory for us to have children, are actually those with higher level of education. Next. Yes, one way ANOVA was used to test the influence of education on reproduction. Let's go. This is the result. But I am being warned that I should move. So this is the result. The results from statistical analysis revealed two divergent views. That's what I said. There are those who are saying, look, reproduction through normal process is still valid. And they condemn same-sex because it will destroy our future generation. But few of them say, look, it is a matter of choice. You may or you may not have children. There is no problem. So that is actually the summary of. Let's go. Now, bring that back. Bring that back. Well, you may ask me as a social worker, what is the implication of this? The implication of this is that one and foremost role of a social worker is what? Is actually education, empowerment, just like somebody said. When we talk of empowerment, we are not talking of resources. We are talking of educational, that means the development of the cognitive. There are two aspects in development. The first one is material development, and the second one is what? Is cognitive development, and that is educational development. That is what we call capacity building. That is what we call empowerment. Developing the person to be able to to provide for himself. That is the greatest thing social workers must involve themselves. So how do I empower somebody to do things for himself? Even in terms of advocacy, when you advocate for people, allow the people to have a voice. Train them to be able to speak out. That is sustainable. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So do we have any questions, comments? We are done for today, and every other person is going to the main hall. So we have to go to the main hall as well. But I need comments, questions, contributions. Doctor is more than capable to respond to all your questions. Please ask questions. Thank you, Generous.
It is a big pleasure to be with the highly experienced researchers who inform us on some issues we don't have time really to analyze. It is very amazing to see that in Africa we still have that goodwill of producing children. But as one effect of globalization, we are now practicing family planning. And I am wondering if our children will have at least one child. Because, for instance, in Kigali, many families don't exceed 2 children. If I have 3, maybe my daughter told me that he will not have a child. Because looking at how we are struggling, the life is becoming very, very costing. And this is one reason of reducing birth rate. And when we are being inspired by Western societies, for instance, when I was in Norway, I found many couples who are married since many years, but who don't have a child. And they used to say that we have a dog and a cat, that's enough. As the effect of globalization, I am wondering if you have the hope that our African societies will continue to give value to reproduction. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is not a full paper because these issues were extensively discussed in that paper. However, let me just give you some response. I am happy, and that is why the reason for this study is to find out from the public whether children are needed anymore. That is the reason. Because you are talking of globalization, yes. Globalization is actually coming as a reason of the mode of production, capitalist mode of production. Because capitalist mode of production talks about what? Profit without welfareism. Do you understand? And maybe this is why the issue of even robots, I want to tell us, I'm sorry, we may be replaced very soon by robots. And then the society will be something else. So, the role of social worker, maybe when you see the full paper, what this paper recommends is for proper education, for people to know the implication of what is happening. Yes, you cannot force anybody, but ours is to educate. Tell the public, and that is why these people are supposed to give us what it takes to be able to inform, to do proper education. Let the people understand the implication of same-sex marriage, because this is our role. We educate. Once we do that, well, who knows? It is only God that knows what will happen. But thank God, out of this research, a lot of us, we are still within the natural maybe society that we used to be, although a pocket of some people have already copied and even overcopied what is happening in the West. Ours as social workers, we should continue to create awareness on the implication of what is happening to our future generation. Thank you.
Much, Doctor. Thank you, everyone. We have come to the end of this session. And please, I would like us to go to the main hall. Each rapporteur from each group is presenting the issues and the recommendations. So please let us go. But please, all these presentations will be uploaded online. If you have your comments, questions, you can also put it there. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.